Another 1980s news, Jam Master Jay's suspected murderers are on trial.
Wow.
Is this a true crime episode that I missed it? I didn't get the
No,
memo?
no,
Oh,
no,
okay.
no, no.
All
This
right.
and this is not a true crime we would do because it's just so dark and terrible and
Right.
makes me feel sad about it all over again. Yeah,
Mm.
but so Peacock kicked off Black History Month with a documentary series chronicling the impact of Run-DMC and Kings from Queens, the Run-DMC story.
Mhm.
Definitely check that out if you're a fan of hip hop. It was directed by Kirk Fraser. And in that three-part documentary, it highlights the rise of Joseph Simmons, Daryl McDaniels, and Jay Mizell, better known as Run-DMC, and Jam Master Jay. Three friends from Queens, New York, who went on to become the greatest, or certainly one of the greatest rap groups of all time. And in the series, the surviving duo gets candid about everything from their early days in the group to finding superstardom and the loss of Jam Master Jay, who was sadly gunned down in his recording studio in 2002. I've got to say first, it's one of those things. Look, I don't know that anybody would liken Jam Master Jay necessarily like JFK. You know, you heard those stories when you were a kid. I remember when I was young and they'd be like, well, where were you when JFK? Not talking to us, talking to adults.
Right. Yeah.
Be in the room. Where were you when you heard?
It's like our Challenger, right? It's like where you were. Right?
Oh, yes.
So, yeah, I get it.
Yep.
You know, and I guess unlike Challenger, you know, which was devastating, right? Because they either they wheeled that TV in the room and made you watch it, or in my school, we were all gathered in the cafeteria. You know, when horror tragedy struck. But those folks weren't famous. It was still this, you know, remarkable endeavor. But I want to say Jam Master Jay's death, and certainly maybe because it was tragic, is the first time I remember a celebrity death like really hit me. And I had just arrived home from work and was listening to the radio and just pulled into my, you know, driveway or whatever. And I heard this on the news, and I sat in my car for, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes, just sort of shook.
Wow.
You know, it made me really sad. And just remembering, you know, back, it was kind of one of those things of sort of a, you know, the catalyst for sort of my mind is flashing back to all these memories I had related to that group, you know, records I had, breakdancing to it, memorizing the lyrics with my best friend Mark at the time, so we could trade off the, you know, the rhymes.
Do the parts, yep.
Yeah. It really bummed me out.
Did you ever get a chance to see Run-DMC live?
Oh gosh, no. I mean, no. Not perform. Now I had the, you know, I was fortunate enough to see DMC speak, you know, and they dedicated the Rock Hall hip hop exhibit. Yeah,
just a year or so ago, right?
Yep, just last year. And then he 2 times he did a talk there, and then later on, you know, he was he did a speech as part with Chuck D, and then he did a speech dedicating the hall itself.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's as close as it got. Yeah, and I don't think. Go ahead.
So the impact you felt wasn't like you had this personal connection. I don't mean a actual literal personal connection. It was the artist and the consumer of the art connection. That connection is the one that's where you felt the impact across. It was that tendon, right?
Yeah, and I think even more so because I'd never fancied myself a rapper, although Mark and I did that for fun. I did, as you know, fancy myself a DJ, and he was the DJ.
He was the DJ, right?
You know, and part of being the DJ, certainly back then, as you guys know, was, you know, keeping the beats going so the MCs could rap. Or later, as we, you know, hip hop becomes more developed, being in the studio and just, you know, creating beats or sampling beats or adding scratches, which is what he did. And so a lot of, for me, so later on as time went on, I associated more with that, you know, aspect of that group than I had initially when I first had heard them, you know. Anyway.
Yes.
So it's tragic, but I suppose the good news is they think they have, certainly the prosecutors in New York think they have found the culprits. Because coincidentally, the murder trial against Jam Master Jay's accused killers just began 2 days before the documentary dropped.
Wow.
You know, more than 20 years after the murder and nearly 4 years after the men were first arrested.
Yeah, it's bittersweet though. You know, even if, let's say they found the culprits, it doesn't fix anything. You know, it doesn't give us back that time. It doesn't. What about all of the art that didn't get created because we lost Jam Master Jay, right? You can't get that back. I never
thought about that. That's a really, Yep.
Yeah. So he took that person, he took his life, which is, of course, it's the ultimate problem. But below that, there's, like when people sue for like missed work or whatever when they're injured, he should be punished for that and also for the loss of art that was taken out of the world because you took this artist away.
Yeah.
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 That's interesting. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And
Mhm.
if you lose someone in your life, a child, usually a spouse, depending on the circumstances, if you have a lawsuit, certainly against you may have a lawsuit in that regard. I think it's lack of consortium, they call it, but
Mhm.
whatever, to try to put a dollar figure on whatever you would have reaped from that relationship, it's easier to monetize if they, it's their salary or something like that.
Right.
Yeah. With him,
Yeah.
it would, you think that, it could be something.
It's
like
devastating. Like, wouldn't you love to heard like a 2010 DMC album? Like, what would that have been?
Yes.
What would they have
Yes.
become had they
Mhm.
been able to keep it all cohesive? Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
That's what makes me the saddest.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in their opening statements, the prosecutors claimed that Karl Jordan Jr. and Ronald Washington carried out an, quote, execution that was, quote, motivated by greed and by revenge, end quote. However, their lawyers, of course, told the jury that the pair did not kill the pioneering DJ.
Oh, okay.
So there you go. So trial's over.
Okay.
Attorneys can't lie, right, Will?
Yeah. Now, what I think the thing, look, I'm not terribly judgmental, certainly, of folks' lives. I say terribly because I know sometimes it's a little bit. And in particular I know historically when I was younger, especially if people did drugs or drank or smoked, it was like, oh my God.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not as, I don't know, tight-assed as I was back then. But what I was disappointed is that while Run-DMC did do songs against the drug culture, prosecutors said that Mizell had become involved as a middleman in cocaine deals to support his lifestyle as his music career began to fade. They said that Jordan, who was 18 at the time of the murder, and Washington, a friend who was staying with Mizell's sister, thought they would be part of a deal worth $200,000 and were angered when they were cut out. The prosecutors alleged that the duo barged into Mizell's music studio on Merrick Boulevard in Hollis, and Jordan shot the Run-DMC co-founder dead.
No honor among thieves.
Right. Yeah.
And they've got folks to back it up. At least one witness by the name of Cherubin Bastian testified that the murder came up in conversation twice during the 9 months that Bastian lived with Jordan.
Wow.
Once while Bastian was driving Jordan, and Jordan was sitting in the front seat of the passenger seat of a van that Bastian drove, Jordan said, "If I got to kill him, I'll kill him again."
Oh, okay.
And then another time, Bastian said that they overheard Jordan arguing with a woman in the driveway outside of their home, and he heard him say to this woman, "I'll do you like him, Master J."
Wow.
Of course, they maintain their innocence. The trial is expected to last 4 weeks. Oh boy!
All right.
All right. Now that I bummed you out,
That was a downer, man.
wait, what?
Oh, that was a downer.
Bye. Good night. Have a good night, everybody.
Thanks for being here.
Look, normally we don't talk about stuff like this, but again, it was just so impactful to me.
It is.
Oh, yeah.
So pertinent.
20 some odd years ago, hearing that story, and I just, such a fondness for those guys.